Could you give me some indication of what kind of laws we have regarding hate speech? I mean, so for instance, our major national is Glendick pushing the limits of what he can say. What's hate speech? And
the question is, what kinds of laws do we have in the United States with respect to hate speech? Tanton and Luttenberg was banned in Canada because it constituted hate speech.
Well, in the United States, the First Amendment absolutely protects things like the immigration invasion. I mean, you can only be stopped from making hate statements if you're threatening the life of someone directly. I mean, I can actually stand up here and say sort of, kill all the Jews if I wanted to, as long as I don't point to a particular person and single them out. The situation is completely different in Canada. In Canada, there's all kinds of things that are prescribed. I think Holocaust denial is prescribed. That's also true in a lot of European countries. And in this case, with all this anti-immigrant stuff. In addition to which, there are quite a few prominent Canadian haters who have set up shop down here, either with websites or with whatever they're selling, so they can avoid the Canadian hate speech laws. So it's, you know, it's First Amendment.
German groups have also set up here and exported from Nebraska. Go ahead.
How is that affected over the internet?
How does that affect? How does that happen over the internet? What's the process there?
Well, I mean, look, if materials are prescribed in certain countries, and you're right, Gerhard Lauck is the guy you're talking about in Nebraska. He was probably the #1 purveyor of neo-Nazi literature. He was in Lincoln, I think, for years and years and years. And you know, what the internet simply does is it makes it easier to access this information, right? It's just sitting there. I mean, even if you're in Germany where the material is prescribed, it's not like you can't go on Google and type in, you know, Nazi or Jew or whatever horrible thing and access anything you want. And because of our First Amendment protections, a lot of hate sites are cited here in the United States, so the people who are running them can avoid prosecution back there. So it's made it easier to get this information. Gerhard Lauck made a lot of money off the fact that he had to mail things and sell things. Now you just pop it up on the net, and it's there for everyone.
Next question. Yes.
Since so many polls in different states show, you know, the majority opinion in favor of SB 1070 type of laws, do you think it ever works to an advantage to have somebody like a Tom Tancredo really come out in public and talk about their orientation because they really convince people how crazy or far to the right they are?
Does it help, since there are such mass immigrant sentiment in this country, does it help to have somebody like Tom Tancredo come out as a public figure and express such sentiments so that the debate becomes more above ground rather than underground?
Well, Tom Tancredo certainly has done that, including calling for bombing Mecca and Medina. It depends. The answer to your question is it depends. In Arizona in 2004, they passed a law kind of like Fremont's anti-immigrant one, before SB 1070. And the leading voice on that was exposed during the campaign by my friends at the Center for New Community, who I mentioned, as being a white separatist. It had no effect on the outcome. The law passed anyways. However, polling over immigration issues is really complicated. You could get a majority saying, I'm for an SB 1070, but if you also ask them in the same set of questions, would you rather have something like that or comprehensive immigration reform, like a path to citizenship, you know, certain types of enforcement? The people pro-comprehensive immigration reform are always higher. So there's actually a majority out there who want something that's not as harsh as SB 1070, but feel frustrated enough to say, in the fact, if we're not going to get real reform, then I at least want something to be done. Really what the polling shows is people want something to be done, which is a fair enough thing to express, you know, given that there are stresses caused by immigration across the country.
Just to follow up on your comment, so far as I know, Governor Heinemann is the first governor, the first person in this position of state leadership to call for the passage of an explicitly racist law. We've had lots of racist leaders in the state, but usually it's been silent, as I say, phlegmatic, and somewhat underground. So you have to understand that that question is a really important question because we're going to have leadership that may not be expressly anti-Hispanic, but it certainly will be designed to mobilize anti-Hispanic sentiment as a stepping stone to the Senate in the fall election. The next question. Yeah. Back there. You, yeah.
Yeah, I understand you're talking mainly, about cultural and immigration issues, but I haven't heard anything about gender issues. Do you also consider that? If not, is there an organization that does that I might be referring to?
Do you consider gender issues? Why doesn't the Southern Poverty Law Center consider such issues, and is there a like organization that does consider gender?
Well, I didn't talk much about gender issues here in the same way I didn't talk about sort of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and whatnot rights. The organizations that we're dealing with are all pretty much against women, against the LGBTQ community, and so on. We have a legal department that does a lot of work. We actually have a specific program in our legal department that defends the rights of immigrant women who've been sexually harassed. So I didn't talk about every bit of the Southern Poverty Law Center, but gender is a part of our programs. Now, of course, it's not a singular focus, right? Our point is to increase civil rights for all, which of course includes gender, right? So whether you're talking about gender and hate crimes or gender and types of organizations, but these organizations are all sexist. They're all that way. So that's why it wasn't something that I was highlighting. And if you want information about other groups, I'd be happy to talk to you offline about